All right, go again for me, please.
Sally sells seashells by
Yep.
the seashore.
All right, that one does it. Perfect. All right. How you doing?
Pretty good.
That's good.
Well, I mean, all things considered.
Yeah, it was a big mess. Really big mess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I figure probably the best way to do it is I'll explain what I've seen from my side, and then I think you come back with like what you've seen from your side,
Yep.
and then we can like compare and stuff like that. Because like all this shit that's been happening, it's so weird. Like like the to be honest, what I'm surprisingly fine with is I'm gonna call it the blackmail that was done to Melk to for him to not be overtaken as War Master was fine. To me, that wasn't so bad. He should have just said no if that was that.
hmm
And if what's his face can use that against him, then I was like, well, I mean, it's a shitty move, but it's a move. So I was fine with that. But so what I've seen from my side, basically, is that everyone gets mad at Masterclass for the draw rule that we had because our lodges came higher and higher. And that we kept drawing against each other in ladder and stuff like that. And we did backpedal that a long way because we were starting to grow too much. And now it's just last week of season. If you're going for top 50, you can ask for a draw, but it's never accepted. That's the rule for us right now. And I know that a lot of other people give flack for that. And then the other things so far this season have been the disconnection issue thing, just the rage DCing. And neither side is innocent of that. I know people over there do it. I know people over here do it. To tell you the truth, a member of Masterclass did it to me. So obviously neither side is innocent of that. And I think the biggest thing is this whole Melkor thing that happened.
Yeah, there's a lot of things involved, and it's multifaceted, and just in general, it,
Absolutely.
yeah. Before we get into anything else, in general, I agree with you on all that. It's all shit, and it's all not good for the game.
Yep. Nope, you there?
Yes, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry, I just cut out for a second. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah, so this thing that I'm trying to make, it's not going to be a witch hunt or anything. It's going to be here's what happened and here's all the information. So that's why I've come
hmm
to a lot of you guys to get it from your side as well. So yeah, that's the plan.
Yep, that is my plan. Is here's the facts. Here's your facts. Here's our facts.
Yep.
There is there's a lot of there's a lot of opinion and perspective and people's stuff that they throw into or layer into it based off of history, personal preference, whatever the case may be, emotions,
Yep.
competitiveness. But between all of that, there's the facts and there's the truth. And I think between what you guys have seen, what you can tell what you've seen, I can tell you what I've seen personally. And within there, let people draw their own conclusions, and
Yep.
that is what it is.
Absolutely. 100% agree. Oh. So I guess the meat of it is the fact that how do you pronounce his name? Is it Ein here?
I have no idea. I say Einherr.
Okay, well we'll call him
That's the
Ein
way,
here.
yeah, kind of like Eisenhorn. That's why I pronounce it as Einherr.
Yeah. So I guess the thing is he the lodge master for Seekers?
I believe so.
Okay. So I guess the biggest things up to now, and I guess with we got to bring Magnus into this as well, is the fact that Magnus hasn't been on the Discord for ages. I don't know why he was banned. Is it just because he was being non-sportsmanlike?
I don't even know if was he banned from the Discord. I've never seen the guy on the Discord, so I
That's
have no
fair.
idea.
Okay. So in order to get him in the Legends tournament, I had to go through Enheim.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
because he's just not on Discord at all.
Well, no, he does because then he messaged me on like Discord through like message. So he's
Oh,
got Discord. It's just not on the main HHL one. So
oh, okay.
yeah. So
Is he on like Russian speaking only or?
I don't know. Like his English was decent, so it's fine. Like he understood what I
Oh,
was
okay.
saying. So
Huh.
yeah, whatever there. So I guess the thing about that is that there's this whole thing about Magnus has been the worst case of the DC rage issue and stuff like that, and he always does it, and he's always the one that gets fired. If I'm honest though, I have a good relationship with him. Like he's done it a couple times to me, but like for the most part, he doesn't to me.
I
So
yeah, I think in general. I mean, granted, I know I'm speaking in my perspective as far as for ladder play. I don't do ladder play a lot, so I
mm,
don't come across him as much as I used to. I stopped doing ladder probably about December. Like I'll do maybe 5, 10 games a month in there
okay,
just to try stuff out. I'm mostly in practice.
yep,
I have a lot more fun that way. I'll just throw that out there. But I know before when I ran into him, the big thing that he was guilty of, and I believe he still does a lot, is the emote spam.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
just that just it's so like I think one time he like I don't know, it was a Magnus, he was Magnus and I was like Kurz or something, and I muted him like within a minute because it was just nonstop, and
yeah,
it just I don't understand that.
yeah.
The
Neither do I.
the yeah, the disconnect issue. When you say disconnect, and a lot of people like right off the bat, like his name comes to the top of the list, and I think that's because the people who generally have, I won't say the biggest beef with it because I think everybody has a beef with it, but who has the loudest concern about it, especially because of the timing, the way it works when you're grinding for those
Yeah,
those top 50 people, and those people encounter him more frequently.
yeah,
He is the public perception number one offender. He's
yep,
not the only offender, and it's not just top 50. It's not high terra. At this point in time, it's everywhere. That a year ago, I remember it was about February, I want to say last February, and somebody had said something like, I think it was either on Facebook or on a Reddit post, and it
mm-hmm.
was kind of like, hey, this is really annoying, and this is terrible, and this is this disconnecting where people time out, and it's just, and it was so rare and infrequent, and it was kind of like, well, it happened every now and then. It was like, yeah, that's probably just them getting a phone call or something happened.
Yeah,
That sucks when that happens, that you got to wait 35 seconds for timeout, and it's frustrating, but that's not the majority of the case. As time has gone on, and especially, I would probably say, I don't know, I would probably say like around January this year,
mm,
that is no longer the exception. That seems to be much more frequently the case. Like if I get somebody who resigns against me, that's
yeah,
surprising.
yeah.
And
You're
that's
absolutely right.
terrible. And that's, and like I said, that's in all levels. That's not a high Terra exclusive. That is in Mars. We have people in our group who report it in Prospero, in in practice. Not even like challenge games, like just like, okay, we're just having fun testing stuff out. My meme deck, your meme deck.
Wait, you get it in
Um,
practice.
oh yeah.
That's
Oh
next
yeah.
level.
It is. And it's like, of all, like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Like at this point, like the only way to really get a completion win, per se, is generally like if you've got like a trump card, like, oh, I've got my vengeful spirit, or like
Mm.
they deal lethal right off the bat. Um, it's ridiculous, and it's at the point where, yeah, like I said, it's on all levels.
Yeah.
It's with lodges that I've never heard of. It's with lodges that we're all familiar with. It's players everywhere, and I know the players who are on our server, and especially the ones who are in just general Discord. Nobody ever's like, "Oh yeah, I do it all the time. It's great."
Yeah.
Everybody's got a beef with it, but apparently it's everywhere, and people do it everywhere. And I know I've made posts about it. I think uh, 2 weeks ago, Egg from MC,
Yep.
he PM'd me because he had heard something about it really becoming an issue, and I said, "Hey, let me know." We've put that out there in the past, and if Steve's put that out there in the past, up in general, if anybody's ever got an issue with it, let us know. And the only one that's ever been brought up is Einhair, who is not in my house. He's a Seeker's house.
Yep.
Seekers is just a completely separate. While we have an alliance with them, they are a separate lodge. They are a separate Discord entity.
Yep.
We don't really have any control of the people, and we've tried to clarify that as best we can. Like sometimes their people work with us, sometimes our people work with them. Mostly, it's just like a shared chat channel,
Yeah,
to
that's
kind of
fair.
share ideas and deck stuff. Um, but that name comes up every time, and it's not exclusive to him. He's definitely the number one offender.
Yeah.
It is a bad thing for the game.
Because people do
And
it
it
in
is, like I said,
masterclass as well. Like I know Steve has been slamming people in the announcement as well. He's like, I'm sick of seeing screenshots of people DCing. Like
yeah,
he's had to talk to people personally to get them to stop him and stuff like that. And it literally got so bad that it's like you think, okay, maybe I'm versing someone who's our rivals. I'm gonna rage DC because like fuck them, right? But I've
right,
had
right.
people within MC. I had one person DC rage against me.
Yeah, they're like
So
in your own house.
I was
It's
like,
so dumb.
I'm not going to name and shame that person. I spoke to the Lodge Master of the Lodge
Yeah.
he was in, and he dealt with it and stuff like that. But I was just like, really? Like, I kind of get it when it's like, okay, we're fighting you, like, all's fair in love and war. But I was like, that's not good.
Yeah.
And it was
Y-
like, I get it as well. Like, I played Mortarion last season, and it got to the stage where it was an empty board. I had, like, 20 more
Oh,
health than him.
Dunlop
I
and
dropped Death
everything.
Shroud, and then DC. It's not like, oh, look, it was a kind of even match, and then he might have exited. It was, he's got 3 cards left in hand. He's got 15, 20 left lives than me. I dropped Death Shroud.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was like, okay, that's a Rage DC, and I was so annoyed about it.
Yeah, just hit resign. If
Exactly.
you're gonna go that way, like the resign button, I don't know because I play on my phone, so I get people. There's like an old F4 key or something that they hit or they exit out of the game.
Yeah,
I don't understand that. I just hit the resign button. Personally,
100%.
myself, I don't resign. Like I think I've resigned like 3 or 4 games just because I've had like something going on
Mm.
in real life and had to put the game down. If I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna lose. You're gonna beat me, or
Yep.
I'll throw myself at you, and like that's it.
Yep,
But
100%. It's like, if they've got this cool combo they're pulling off, let them pull off the cool combo.
yeah, yeah. Now to go in hand with that, I mean, to the other point, the other bad manners is when you give them that, and then they're like, okay, now I'm gonna play like 9 cards before I deal this 2 damage to your warlord.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's
Sometimes I do flex on people a little bit like that,
yeah,
but it's usually because last turn maybe they have made a mistake or they might have been able to do another play, and I like to show them I've got that extra bit of lethal.
right. Like if I've got 2 goldstones and my warlord, and I only need like 6 damage or 5 damage to pull it off, I'll play the 2 goldstones just so you can see. Like I could have done it with these 2 cards. I'm still going to use those 2 cards
Yeah,
to kill you, not necessarily hit the warlord. It wouldn't have mattered what order I play them in,
yeah,
or sometimes like in practice, like I get somebody's got a challenge and they want to play like 1 more 8-drop troop or 2 more 2-drop troops. Or
yeah,
when they're just like, okay, I'm going to stealth this 1 unit here, and then I'm going to use this. Like it's something that doesn't make sense with the challenge, or it's just like, okay, are you
yeah.
just
When they're trying to draw out the
yeah,
game just to be like, haha.
right?
Yeah.
And I think across the board in any game, that's just bad manners. Versus like, okay, just go for it. Like just finish the game. Let's
Mm,
go on to the next thing.
absolutely. Because like
But
a lot of people
but
watching
that is
this,
that
when I
is
put this
that is
up,
less tier than the Rage DC.
yeah,
They're
a lot of
both bad.
yeah. A lot of people are going to be like, 30 seconds Rage DC, just wait the 30 seconds, you get your win. But what they don't understand is in the top end, when it's so tight, 30 seconds is a long time to just be sitting there.
Right. And like I said, that's why I get why it's a bigger beef for those who are doing the grind at the top 50,
Yeah.
because it can become over the course of one night. If you get that 6, 7 times, that's minutes wasted
Yep.
at that point, and
And that's
potentially
potentially,
two or
yeah,
three games.
exactly.
Yeah.
100% it is. So that's that. That's the Rage DC issue, and a lot of people are issued off it. To be honest, it used to be worse. I did mention when I'm making this video that you used to be able to DC reconnect and both players get the win, and that's I think where it started.
Mm.
Because that
Well, is that how the DC Connect worked? Like you could rage quit and then reconnect into the game and get a win?
I'm not exactly sure because I never figured out how to do it. The only reason why I know it's possible is because I've come up against people within the Masterclass family, and then it'll be like 2 seconds into the game, and I'll get up, they've disconnected, and I'll get the win, and then they'll message me saying, "Hey, why did you disconnect?" And I'll be like, "No, you disconnected," and we both got the win.
Yeah. No. See, and I think when I'm familiar with the disconnect, because that's kind of the telltale signs is in the first like turn or two when there's a disconnect. I haven't seen that in a long time, but I know that pops up every now and then.
Yeah,
But I wasn't aware how it looks on both ends. Like for me, it just looked like you disconnected and then I got a win.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like
Huh.
I'm pretty sure they've patched that now because I haven't had that in a very very long time. But I know maybe 6 months to a year ago that was a big issue about people artificially inflating. Like they'd leave their own lodge,
Yeah.
play at the same time as the rest of their lodge, come up against, and then just do that to boost them up.
Yeah, that was a big thing with the Ewok Strike Back. That's why they got. I mean, not to throw whoever's over there in that lodge now under the bus, because I don't think they have anything to do with it.
Mm.
But that lodge, I don't. It was not a season. It was an event. There was some event,
Mm.
and they were skyrocketed in points. And all their like that came from their command, and like everybody there do it and
Okay.
using it. They got busted, and
Yeah.
that was kind of the end of whoever was in ESB for quite some time. But that was the last time that I really remember it being a big deal. And then when it's come up every now and then, it's like, oh, we've got this DC again, and we messaged the Everguild, and they do whatever fix they need to do.
Yep, absolutely, yeah. All right, so let's move on from that, and let's go to the betrayal that happened, I guess is what it's going to be called.
Dun dun
Of,
dun.
yeah, of Melkor. So, basically, what I've seen from my end is that Melkor got to 6,000 points. And that's a great place to start. When I got my first card back, I got to 5k and was like, that'll do. I got to 5k, I can say I got there.
Mm-hmm.
So, he got there, and he was 300 points in front of Enhine, or something like that. And I can't find this message because it's way back in the thing, but I remember seeing Melkor saying, hey, I can't play anymore, basically for the last 24 hours or whatever it was, because I got shit on. So, please try and beat Enhine. He said something like, try and slow him down, but I think that was his error in translation, not slow play him or anything. It was like, try and beat him so he doesn't catch up. I think that, but again, I can't find the message, so who knows. Then within the last couple of hours, you see Enhai boost his rank up those 300 points. Now, whether he was cheating with DC issue or having people forfeit to him, that's beside the issue. But what happened was he got he got up to 5,998, 8 hours before the end of season. So there was this 8-hour period where he is 2 points behind. That's one bot game win to beat him.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So then,
like 3 or 4 points at that point.
Yeah. So exactly. So you need one bot game and you're above it. Maybe a bot game might be 2 wins at that point. I don't know. I've never been that high because that's a lot of time commitment. Yeah. So then Melk messages Steve. Sorry, no. Melk leaves Masterclass at that point, and people are like, "Well, what's happened here?" So Steve and Melk have a message, and he posted a few of those on the main Discord. But the main part of that was Melk was like, "Hey, I'm getting blackmailed to leave you guys and come join Seekers, so we beat you in ladder. So they beat you in ladder this season." So Enhine is basically saying, "Leave Masterclass, come join us. Then I won't get the extra games in to beat you, and you won't have to lose. You've put on all this time and effort to get your War Master card back. You'll be able to get it." That's what happened there. And Melk was actually saying, "Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go join them, and then I'm going to leave them at the last minute so you guys still win." That's what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is still kind of up in the air, and I don't really know what happened here because I wasn't really into it. I'm still going through all the messages and screenshots and everything. But what seemed to have happened is apparently he did leave because Seekers dropped those 6,000 points at the last second. But then when the game ticked over and the end of the season happened, they had all those points back. So people were like, well, Melk actually didn't leave, or he left and came back. But Steve has a screenshot of like a minute before season ends of them being 6,000 points under what they should be. So the theory is that potentially the game didn't update properly for the end of season. Like he left, and then it still gave him the points or something like that. I'm not too sure. Maybe they got some...
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just gonna say, did he go back to MC?
So he is back in Masterclass. He wasn't for a bit. People were kind of like saying, well, he should have just said, okay, I'm going to lose my War Master card back and stuff like that. But I heard today he's back in one of our lodges, actually the lodge that I'm in, Masters of Salt at the moment. And it's because I think something has happened. And I'm going to get into that. I'm going to talk to Steve about it and see what's happened and stuff like that. But to be honest, what it looks like is he did leave and it didn't update enough. Because he was saying, trust me, I'm going to leave. And I think he was surprised at it and stuff like that. I mean, the fact that he's back in here really does suggest that he did leave.
Okay.
Yeah, so I understand why he did what he did. The amount of time commitment you need to get to that first place spot is huge. Like, I got my War Master card back at 5,000 points. Now, 5,000 back when I got it was higher than what 5,000 is now, I think. Like, I was getting plus 4s and 5s for wins against people. Now you still get plus 12s. But my 5,000 was definitely not his 6,000, right? or
Hmm.
Fulgrim's whatever he got, when he got War Master. So the amount of time commitment to get there, I understand not wanting to lose your War Master card back. It's easy for me to say in hindsight, like when I thought Melk wasn't going to come back to Masterclass, I said, like, I would have gladly given up my War Master card back in order to stay in the Masterclass family of lodges, because it's so good to be in there. It's like a really great community. It's easy for me to say in hindsight. What I would have done
Hmm.
a year and a half ago when I got my War Master card back, who knows? So I can see why he did what he did. And I don't really hold that against him.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard because part of me thinks is like, like what I get the pressure, like you said, like you don't want to lose that, and you get that KV, like that whole time, that commitment, and at the same time, depending on like when that happened, and I can tell you the time frame that as far as like when I became aware of certain things,
Mm-hmm.
there's time there to report that, whether that's to you guys, which eventually it sounds like he reported to Steve before he made the as well as to Everguild, like, hey, there's this thing going on that's a threat that clearly indicates some sort of cheating.
To be honest, I don't
Um,
think the blackmailing of Milk was cheating.
no, no, I'm not saying that. But I mean, if Einhair showed him that, hey, I'm using this disconnect edition, I can get a whole bunch of points. That's cheating.
That's true. I
You know,
mean, there is a message that we got from the Seekers Discord. I don't know how we got it, but it says, anybody, like, if you're versing Ein here, if you can forfeit, that'd be great, basically. It wasn't saying if you verse him forfeit, but they were asking for people to do
right?
it.
And that's from the trader's end. I'll clarify that right now,
Okay.
because that's not from me. That's
Okay.
not from me, and I am the lodge master of Trader's End
Yep.
and the Trader's End community as a whole. But last week, and actually the last 2 weeks, I've been really swamped in game in real life. So I've been checking stuff at the end of the day or the night, and that last week especially, we knew that the end of the season was coming up,
Mm.
and for Trader's End and Seekers had said, hey, these guys that you got are higher up on the ladder. Do they want to come over to our lodge, for the Seekers Lodge, for like a total combined score to try to
Yep.
beat?
That's
Okay,
fine.
that's great. Friday is also the end of an event, so we kind of had
Mm.
to see, like, do people want to give it, because a lot of those guys were in top 10, and there's a top 10 crate reward, and
Yeah.
the fourth reward. So we had to coordinate that. So I did some coordination with those players to email them, like, hey, here's the move, here's the deets,
Yep.
and we'll get that taken care of first thing Friday morning. Which for me, the timing works. This end of season, the end of event takes place on my time about 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
and the end of season, I believe, takes place about 11:30 or midnight my time.
Okay.
I'm working 8 to 5, so I get up. Those moves, we get those wrapped up and taken care of, and I go to work. That message got posted, and the screenshot that I've seen that's been shared and posted does not show the timestamp. Now, I get that timestamps can kind of vary depending on what Discord you're
Yeah.
on, but based off of my timestamp, that was shared by another lodge master in our group, and there are 5 of us, 5 lodge masters.
Yep.
After he had gotten a discussion with Einherr about 10 o'clock,
Okay.
10, 20, 10, 15, and Einherr, and just he feels really bad that he posted it. He didn't really think it through. He was just kind of the end of day trying to get things coordinated, because he was the only one that was on in the command thing. He feels really bad. He regrets doing it. He would not have done it again, and didn't run
Yeah.
it by anybody else.
He just made a judgment
Um,
call saying, hey, if you guys could, can you forfeit because we're trying to do this thing?
exactly, and that wasn't even the initial. That was like a tag on request.
It
The initial
was,
thing
yeah.
was more or less, hey, we found out that there's a way that you might accidentally end up facing the same people that you're in the lodge. There's about 6 or 7
Mm.
Traders End guys now in Seekers. If you come across each other, so we don't lose points in that end time, here's use the signals to do a draw.
Yep.
You know,
I think your
um,
signals are the same as
and then
ours.
right, exactly. And so then by the way, Einherr also said, like, if you come across them, and if you can just forfeit,
Yeah.
which that was a tag on request, from Einherr to him, and he said, okay, I'll not sure what they'll do about that, but I'll pass it along, and he did.
Yeah, and
And
again, that message isn't so bad because it's just kind of asking. Like, it's
Right.
like, it's not, hey, you're in this lodge. If you want to be in this lodge, you have to forfeit because we're doing this thing. It was, hey, if you don't mind, can you do it? And I think that it's a bit of like a dodgy request, but it's kind of okay, you know? Like, it's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
artificial
I mean,
boosting is a bit
eventually.
like borderline cheating, but it's like, is it though?
Well, ultimately, it's not, and that's just it. I'm against the cheating or
Mm.
of any shade kind resigning, and it was not an order or request, at least on our side. I don't
Yep.
know if that's a standing order thing with Secret Side, but I
Yeah.
know in our community that's not the case. None of the guys took it that way, from what I understand, because a lot of the, especially like I said, there's 5 or 6 of them that were in the top 50. They're not giving up their points
Oh, no
either,
way.
because that could cost them a top 50 spot. So they're not going to resign. So the general consensus or response was like, okay, good luck with that. Like, that's, if anybody wants to go ahead and do that, sure, but I'm not going to. And so they didn't. Now after, because I didn't see that message because I was at work.
Hmm.
And then Friday night I had D&D, and by the time my D&D game was done, it was about 2:30 a.m. Season's over.
Hmm.
The last thing I checked in was about like 5 or 6 o'clock before D&D started, and I saw that, I think that was about when Melkor had changed over or maybe he changed over around noon. I'm not really sure when he switched over.
Yeah.
But that was now showing Seekers in the one spot. Okay, well, they're in the one spot. Let's see if they can hold it for the last bit. And from what it looked like, that was kind of the question: was, is this a legit move? Like, is Melkor coming over, or is he going to try to back out at the last minute? And
His
is some
messages
sort
was
of like
saying he was going to
subterfuge
best
and
out.
triple? Yeah. So, and which from what you're saying kind of sounds like that was the plan.
Mm.
And so that would have been interesting if that was the pan out. We probably wouldn't be having this discussion.
Yeah.
We're still having it because there's certainly other factors that are involved.
Absolutely.
Um, One of those guys, either either I'm sorry, is it the Melkor? I forget, right? Melkor, right?
Yeah, Malcolm. Yeah,
Not
yeah.
Melkor. Okay,
It's
Melkor and Einhair. One of those guys would have been first. One of those guys would have been second,
yeah.
based off of the points where they're at. Like, there's no give or take.
No, the next
But
third place was a few hundred points behind.
right. But in that last, I think the contention seems to be, or at least in my perspective, following some of the uh, discussions or debate, was that last 8 or 10 hours or however much time it was where they didn't do any,
Yeah, they
and they were
literally
so
didn't
far
move.
ahead. Right. And that's does two things. First off, yeah, it raises some eyebrows. That's kind of circumspect. Like,
Mm.
why didn't they? Not that they have any obligation to. They don't. If you go to any sort of card game event, there's two options sometimes for those top players. Sometimes they can split the prizes and choose not to play the last game if that's allowed by the TO.
Yep.
Sometimes they have to play off. They chose not to, for whatever reason.
Hmm.
There's definitely some credence to however which way you want to look at it. But ultimately, they didn't play. They didn't go any further. They stuck at those 2 points, which raises some eyebrows.
Yeah.
But trying to get back to thought train here. So they didn't go anywhere, and Melkor, as far as it seemed, at least as far as the end of season screenshot that I saw, or the score that Everguild has posted, looked like he stayed. Now, obviously, whether that was 10 or not, it sounds like it not have been. So then he didn't need to go, but I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm just kind
Yeah.
of thinking like, it's one of those things where, like, there's a lot of unsaid stuff. The end result is he got War Master title. Could he have lost it? Possibly. Could he have kept playing to win it? Possibly.
Yeah, because
Um,
if you compare their points back to, I think it was when Last Man became War Master, there was a 3 point difference at the end. But the difference
mhm,
there is both first and second were playing up to the last minute.
mhm,
They were fighting it out. So people were comparing to that. Oh, look, these guys were just the same amount of points away and stuff like that. But it was the fact that these guys just sat still for the last few hours because of the threat. Basically, Enhai
mhm.
was just like, hey, I know you don't have any time to play or whatever, or I'm going to threaten you to do this. So come join us.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, and
yeah.
that's just like, did he not have the time to play? And given that message was kind of like, I can't do it. There's no way I can do it. So I've got to cave.
Yeah.
Or was it more like, was it more like, okay, well, yeah, he can totally blow this score, inflate his score, and I can't beat that. So I've got a cape, or was it even a combination of that? And it was also kind of like, okay, well, at the very least, I'll bring him down with,
Yeah.
which, yeah,
Because the points were that if Melk stayed, even if Nhai got a few more points and stuff like that, Masterclass would have won the latter season with more points if he had stayed. Like, we would have had enough combined total to beat them without that transfer. Because it was like,
hmm
what's the bottom of top 50? It was like 4,800 compared to 6,000. So that's
I
like
have no
1,200
idea.
points. It was like, yeah,
Yeah, it's a big,
12, 1,100 points difference. That's a, like a 2,000 point swing. They were 1,200 points above us at the end of the season. So, like, that would have made the difference. Now, the thing
yeah,
about it you have to remember is that in this game, the difference between ladder and event is lodge based. Ladder isn't. There is no reward for being the first place lodge.
right,
There's only a reward for
right.
being the first place person.
Exactly, exactly. Which that's kind of, I mean, just in general, the traders and philosophy. We've got guys who are competitive who do ladder. Like, we're really proud of the guys who put in the work and make top 50. And
Yeah.
that's just our guys. Any guys, that takes a lot of work.
It's a lot of time
Um,
commitment.
but, but it is a personal achievement. That whole score for lodge does nothing. There's no reward for it. And, you can tout and say, hey, here's the number one, here's the number two, but nobody gets a shared prize for that effort, even though all those points come from everybody with lodge.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just a general long term point of sadness, I think, with the game. I don't know why Everguild doesn't implement a same kind of system that they do for event scoring that they do for ladder scoring. Like, have those points earned by the lodge, stay with the lodge, and at the same time reward all those who are in those lodges. If you're going to do that, but either which way, like, that's cool. If you're not, then really it's just kind of like, hey, we've got all the best players. That's really what it is. Got all the best
Yeah.
players.
Yeah, to be honest, what would be cool is if they just had a permanent leaderboard that you could go back and see and be like, which lodge came the top 50 in this season. You can click it and you can see the
Yeah.
player list. That would be cool.
Yeah. They do that. They do that for the events. And oh geez, I don't know when I started. I think I started like in January or March. I started going back and looking back at their like Facebook posts, because they, how they share their announcements, like the end of season warlords, and
Yep.
they've got the warlords top 50, but in terms of the lodges, they don't show that. You
Yeah.
can see who the top lodges were for events, and I been tracking those points personally, just kind of keeping a record to kind of see who the long all time of all time is. And ladder, I've got a personal record that probably goes back 4 months now,
Okay.
or 5 months, 5 months now. So it's very short. When it could have 2 years worth of data to have a better reflection. Some of these lodges have not been around for 2 years, but they've been consistent at least the last 4 months and getting top 10, which is great. But when you're talking, it would be nice to see who's on there. Like, for instance, like events,
Hmm.
Excalibur still had enough points through the course of time that they're still in the top 10 based off
Yeah.
of even all this time outside the gate. That they would be probably number one or number two on the ladder here at
Yeah.
that time frame. How
Absolutely. So at the end of the day, what's happened here is obviously Steve and a couple other people from Masterclass have talked to the mods of the main Discord, and Enheim has been banned from it.
Yeah, I saw that. This was that today or yesterday.
Something like that, depending on
I
your
don't
time,
know.
I guess.
I missed everything that went on yesterday. I was on the road yesterday till like the evening. I don't know when that took place, but there's been a lot that's gone on. I saw Ovion get on and canned out strikes or something. So
Yeah, because people just
yeah,
kept not letting it go. Because if we're honest, not that many people about other than the top 1% really care about this, and it's just
that's
you
that's
know,
really what it comes down to. Like, I really hope people tune in to this discussion. I hope we get a lot of views for a
yeah,
lot of reasons,
we'll
because I
see.
think what we're
Yeah,
talking about is stuff that's important for the game, because we're talking about A, number one, sportsmanship, B, number two, the spirit of the game, like, why play,
yeah,
right? And number three, the negative implications that this could carry, because if somebody could exploit a glitch, find ways to blackmail, that escalates the concept of competitiveness,
yeah,
top seeding, to a different level, to kind of a level where, I hate using the word toxic, but that's the definition
yeah,
of a toxic community, where you're not playing the game anymore, just playing the game. You're playing the Game of Thrones. You're playing the
Yeah.
game of League. It's stupid,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's one of those things where that carries a lot of weight with it. But there are thousands of players who are not on Discord who
Mm-hmm.
have no idea what's. There are those who are on Discord that don't ever post, and there are those on Discord who kind of tune in and eat their popcorn and could care less otherwise because they're not in any of the lodges that are involved. They
Yep.
don't have either a personal stake or personal pride involved, but they're just like, oh, those aristocrats are at it again.
Yeah.
Those Republicans and Democrats or whatever. I don't know what you guys have. You have Tories and Whigs in Australia, or do you have political parties?
Yeah, we've got Liberals and Labor.
Okay, you have to excuse my ignorance. So you do have liberals over there.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. It,
Yeah.
it
Not,
becomes it's so weird. It's like a slander word to like use conservative and liberal. It's so stupid. It's like it's just a political belief.
yeah. So yeah, one of the goals of this video is that, well, one of the reasons it's taken me so long to make and writing a script is that I'm explaining everything from scratch. I'm explaining what ladder means, what the event is, what masterclass is, the history, right back from like Prodigal Sons and Excalibur, and then just like a brief part of that to see where things have come from. I'm explaining all the different ways people can cheat. And to be honest, at this point, all I did yesterday, I've written like 3 pages worth of script, and I'm only just getting into what's happened now.
Oh, geez.
Because
Well, yeah, you're trying to do a whole archive here.
yeah, I'm like, people that have got this game yesterday or like 3 days ago and saw some of this bullshit on Discord and like, what the hell's going on, whatever, will be able to watch this video and have zero knowledge to be going, okay, and understanding it all. So as much as I can, I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible. Like, obviously I'm a member of Masterclass and have been for a long time, but I've asked Enhine for any screenshots of like Masterclass members rage DCing or anything that he thinks shines a bad light on us, because I'm going to show it and I'm going to try and explain it from my end with all the stuff that I've got, but I'm going to show it, and if I can't explain something, I'm going to be, this was a piece of shit thing that we did.
Right.
So I've
well, hey, do you want a treatise on Trader's End? I can supply you with. Can be like a history of the 3 kingdoms or something.
wait, what do you mean? Like,
oh, I mean, like you're talking about like all the history and the background with the whole lodge, because I mean, Trader's End and Prodigal Sons have had some stuff going on.
Okay, well, I kind of just glossed over that because I wasn't here when Prodigal Sons was a thing.
Okay.
Yeah, like
well,
the first time I joined Masterclass and really got into the community was February of 2019. So I was like us versus Excalibur at that point.
Oh yeah.
So I missed all the Prodigal Son stuff.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say you missed it.
Okay, yeah, I dodged it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. All right. Well, that's good to get it from your end. And it's basically what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, like I said, like on our end, it's not obviously there's a post that got put out there that has definitely been taken, some people take it out of context, which given the conversation and the way things are going, like it looks like, hey, it's definitely shady.
Yeah.
I don't agree with asking people to resign or throw games for you. I PM'd Einherr following the discussion that I don't know if it was Saturday night or like whenever when things were starting to get really hot, and then all of a sudden that screenshot came up. And that was the first time I had seen it. I had missed a lot of posts, and I kind of had like, where did this come from? Who put this up? And had to do some investigating on my end. So then I asked him, I was like, hey, did anybody resign to you following that? And he didn't say names. He said, yeah, the last couple, like 2-3 days, like there were a couple who did. That's all I got out of him. I don't have, I mean, that did happen. I don't know who. I don't know if they were from us. I don't know if they were from, one of another lodge or one of the Seekers community. I don't know. But that's what he did say to me. So, I mean, that's there again, that adds some weight and some suspective circumstances or suspicious circumstances.
Yeah.
To add to that, because it definitely ties into the the blackmail threat.
Yeah.
As having some potential. Now, I will say this: that post, again, following my timestamps with how the season ends and on my time frame, that post was made at 10:15 or 10:20 ish a.m., which would have been about 12 or 14 hours before the season. It wasn't made days in advance. It wasn't made
Yeah.
2 or 3. It was made in that last hour. And again, that lodge master who posted that threat said wouldn't have done it again. He was just kind of caught up in the time. He was the only person in command who was available, and he put that out there, and that's not our philosophy. Now
Yeah.
to go with that, and this is more of an emotional thing versus a factual thing. There's some fact to it. What irks me a little bit with that is somebody on our end, on the traders end, took a screenshot of that
Yeah.
rather than our group. We've got a mediator role. We've got a person who's kind of like, hey, if you've got concerns, questions, whether it's dealing with another player, bad arguments or whatever the case may be, or concerns, hey, come see this person.
Yeah.
Nobody approached that person. Nobody questioned, hey, that looks really shitty. Nobody contacted me about it or
But
raised any
somehow
concerns about it.
Masterclass got it.
Somehow Masterclass got it without with the name and the timestamp edited out. And then more importantly, nothing was done with that information until 2 days after the season. And
Yeah.
there was 12 plus hours to do something on that end.
Yeah.
So whether that would have been somebody contacted us and saying, hey, what's going on with that, and we could be like, no, that's sorry, take that out, disregard that part,
Yeah.
or ignore that, belay that request, or hey, you might want to see what they're doing over here, and then saying, oh, that's really shitty, I need to let people know, and then put that out in general, hey, FYI, this is what they're up to. Like that
Yeah.
would have been a good time to do that with. That didn't take place on either end. So as far as a leader, lodge leader in my community, I'm a little disappointed that nobody felt either that they could trust or that they just actually weren't. They weren't. Or their
Yeah, a
intentions
message
weren't
got
to
sent and they
do
were
that.
just like, yeah, whatever. I guess that's the thing. They didn't go. No one felt strong enough to go to someone and go, hey, isn't this wrong?
Right. Exactly. And to say, hey, like I've got there's a bunch of guys in our group that I should be asking about this. That doesn't sound right. And then to go with that to also like, okay, well, instead of me reporting it to anybody who should, who could have an actual impact on the game and do something,
Mm.
I'll send it to somebody who didn't do anything with it who also could have done that. I don't know if it went directly to Steve or if it got sent to somebody else who then made it to Steve,
Yeah.
but somebody had that and didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And if I, like I said, I was out that day. If I would have caught it, we would have addressed it right then and there. It's just a message. It's not, it it
Yeah.
it adds to the story, but it's not the story itself. I think the story itself is really what happened between spot 1 and 2.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely. That's
a
the
factor
main.
tied in there. Yeah, but what happened between 1 and 2 in terms of did they come to an agreement? How did they come to the agreement?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I've got the stuff that Steve sent to the main Discord of the messages between him and Milk. About what was happening and about their agreement, because they were both online at the few things to the end, and they were talking to each other in the few minutes leading up to it. And he said he left. Steve saw him leave, but then still somehow his points were still in Seekers.
Hmm.
So it was very odd there, and I got to talk to Steve again because Milk's back in the masterclass lodges now. So I'm wondering what proof was shown and stuff like that, because Steve was definitely like, okay, well, we need him to say something to everyone in the community, saying like, okay, hey, what happened?
Right. And I
So
mean, I could get why he's been silent. I've never seen him post, so I don't. I'm like, there's so many people that
yeah,
if they're not active on Discord, I have no idea.
100%.
Um, so that was like the first time I had heard the name. It's like, who's Melkor? Itorial. I think a couple months ago I did. It was until it was up there in the rankings and people were saying this. But yeah, if he's back in there, I mean, I get there's gonna be there's gonna be a red mark over the title that he's got, which is unfortunate for him.
Yeah,
And if he hasn't had a chance, or whether he doesn't feel like he can, or just in general is not active enough to feel that it merits a response to everybody. But I know folks have got their opinions, and he's got a response or an answer or kind of a statement. I know there are folks who would like to, hear it, and hopefully it helps clear up some things, or add to some of the, like I said, that the facts that lead up to the.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to reach out to him and ask if there's anything he wants to say, but I know his English isn't the greatest. So we'll see how we go there. But if I'll just reach out and be like, hey, if there's anything you want to say, you want to add to it, just let me know. But I'm not going to force him to at all. Like, and I'm also not. This is not a
Right.
witch hunt after him. You know?
No, and it should be like that's. I mean, it's like kind of says, like, you put the facts out there. Here's the facts. Here's the story. People will draw their conclusions, even if you tell them.
Yeah.
Gosh, we're seeing that here in America. I mean, here are the scientific facts. Here's the proof. And no, you
Yeah.
can't make me put on a mask.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
can't
Like,
do it.
I will be giving my opinion on things, but it'll definitely just be stuff like kind of like backed up from any sort of evidence that I've got. Like, obviously, like the things that have been done, it's not great. It's not great. Like, it's been some pretty shitty things, but it
Yeah,
is what it is,
yeah,
and it's done. So
yeah. I
yeah,
agree. It's shitty, and it's somebody I think said it should be called Istvan 3. The season should be called Istvan 3, and it's
yeah,
gonna have a cloud over it. I think any season. I can't recall any season. I don't know if I can say that. If I can recall any season off the top of my head, I can't recall any season that's had controversy with the spot 1 2. I could be wrong. There could have been
yeah. No, I don't think
ones in the
so
past.
either.
Okay, yeah. So I think this is kind of the first one. I think the uh, the weight of the rivalry between Seekers and Master classes adds a lot to it,
Yeah,
because ultimately, and this is the big thing. Ultimately, the players at par here is Melkor and I. Traders End. We are, like I said, we're our community. We've got players who were in the Seekers Lodge that at the end to kind of combine their scores, because to show that they were all top 50, and put into the top lodge. That's the goal there.
yeah,
The
yeah.
ladder in
Absolutely.
general doesn't matter for us. It's more of an event.
Yeah,
But the Traders End players, we've got 100 players that don't have anything to do with it. The Seekers players themselves are those who were in the lodge, played games. Those who weren't out of the lodge are still in Seekers. They play games. They don't have anything to do with it in terms of the message and the context,
yeah,
and what was sent and done is really between the two figures, Einherr and Melkor.
yeah. And to be
And
honest, I think it's amazing that the one change, one player changed, and that was the difference between one lodge being greater than the other. Like the scores were 100,000, and the difference
yeah,
was 1%,
yeah,
and that's
it was.
amazing.
I mean, and even if you take that player out and you figure, okay, who would have been the next in line? Like, let's say Melkor had stayed. I don't know who is in what lodge, who in the Seeker's family or would have been the next one in line. Would that have matched? What would the difference be?
Well, if the
Would
way I
Seeker?
see it is that let's say the player was 50th, right? The
Mm-hmm.
ones that could replace Melk and Seekers. That's 1,100 points down. So that's a 2,200 point swing, and Seekers beat us by 1,200 points. So we would have been above them by 1,000 if that was
Ah,
the
okay, so
case.
which still would not have been huge. I mean,
No, like it's
you
literally
compare that.
within 1%.
Yeah, and you're talking 1,000 points divided by 20 players.
Yeah.
That's how many points difference each of those players would have to make that up. It's pretty tight, and it adds to that whole rivalry thing, which I like it when a rivalry is good and
Mm.
encourages competition, encourages creativity. When it gets to that point, though, and a lot of, I can't say all, but a lot of competitive, eventually to that point where that competitiveness nature can lead to that toxicity. And
Yeah.
when you're dealing with a digital game, you've got a lot of other factors to factor in there,
Yeah.
that whether it be bugs, glitches, exploits. We're talking international, so we've got time windows, people's time differences, and times that they can play are different.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just, yeah. So I really hope that with some perspective, with some truth, with some facts, people can kind of
Yeah.
hopefully see it's not our intent, and that's not. I don't stand for toxicity. I don't want to see that. I don't think you do either. I really
No.
don't think anybody does. I don't know why it exists. Just like we can all agree that the disconnect issue is a bad thing, and yet it's getting done.
Yeah.
Um, and that's something we have to fix as a community. The toxicity is something that we have to fix as a community to either um, I can't just say brush it off, but like, like not let it affect us so much. Like I said, I play practice, and
Yeah.
personally wise, like I enjoy the game a lot more, even though I've got those moments where it's like, the disconnect or whatever it is. Like I don't get those that often. It doesn't affect me as much. I was
Yeah.
a lot more tense and gritted teeth, and anxious when I was grinding top 50 way back when, and I don't miss it.
No, I agree.
Um,
I enjoy the game a lot more in the 3 to 4,000 range when I'm just not pushing for
yeah,
top 50
yeah,
because it becomes
and
a grind. It's what it becomes a grind.
that's it. And then every loss is like, just nails in your goal, and you're just like, oh, and
Yeah.
especially if it's something where like it's a misplay, or
Yeah.
you feel like there's no way they could have got max def stats. That's bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, but I was playing Morty all season. So 50th
All season,
with Morty all season.
all season, nice.
Yeah, bots off for the
Congrats.
most
That's
part.
what's next
Other
up.
than the last 2 games where I was 8 points behind top 50, where I was at work and I was like, just put bots on and get 2 bot games in, and I got it, and I 50th on the dot. But I was like, that was
So
the goal. People are so sick of
that's
seeing
an
me playing
achievement.
Morty.
Yeah, that's an achievement for a lot of reasons. Because number one, it's Morty, who nobody sees enough of, and was like, oh, he can, you know, he's a really smart meta warlord against those aggro warlords. You just shut him down. Okay, what are you gonna do? You will do nothing. And when I
Yeah.
hit dash shot, you will do nothing.
The surprising
Um,
thing is, right, he's actually not that
but
great against those aggro warlords. Like, he's got a decent matchup, but the reason why he was so good, and the reason I started playing him is Vulcan. Desperate defense Vulcan.
and they
Literally
just
a
poison the
piece of
board.
cake. You go, anything with Survivor big you play in the early game, poison and stun. Late game, a
Yeah,
silent death cloud, there goes your desperate defense.
nice.
And the amount of times, and like, again, the other reason was arcology. You poison it, it dies during at the end of the turn. They have a board full of stuff. A silent death, they can't do anything on their turn.
Right. And
Like
then they've got a board full, a full board. They can't even drop troops.
yeah,
Yeah.
they've got just a full board of 1/1s. Then you go, okay, now I'm just going to punish you. And the amount of times I won just of them playing arcology, me going, okay, now you do nothing for 3 turns. Like, thanks very
That's
much.
that's a smart map play. And then the other achievement there is the fact that, yeah, those Morty games can go a long time. So
Oh
for
yeah,
you
when you
to
win games, you're
continue,
winning 10-minute games, not 5-minute games.
yeah. So I mean, those wins matter a lot more. But the fact that you can accumulate them to get to top 50, that's an achievement
Yeah.
itself. So
To be honest,
congrats, man.
if I had bots on, I wouldn't have been able to do it. +4 for bot wins is not good enough. I needed to always verse players.
Oh, wait. So you get more points versus players now?
Well, in the top range, when you verse bots, it's because the bots are ranked at 3,500 trophies. So when you verse them and you beat them and you're
Okay,
at
I see.
4,000 plus, you get +4 for a win. But if I'm versing a player who's also at 4,500, I'm going to get +10, +11.
You're going to get a lot more. I see. I see what you're saying.
So when you're
Okay, because I
pushing for
was
those
like,
top
damn.
50, your bots off is the best way to go.
Right, right. That makes sense. Yeah, because otherwise you're especially with Morty, you're going to play a long game. You're like, all right, 4 points for 10
Exactly.
minutes.
The amount of, like, I used to play with bots on and stuff like that, and I go, cool, 3 bot game wins, and then you kind of get complacent versus a player and lose. There's all your points gone.
Right. Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah. All right, though, I do have to go because my girlfriend's calling me for lunch.
All right. Well, have a good lunch. It's bedtime for me here.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough.
it
Fair
was a good
enough.
discussion.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
hope.
So yeah, what I'm gonna do with this is, like, in the main video, I'm gonna cut bits of it out that are relevant to different sections, and then I'm gonna upload this video entirely as well and link it. So if people want to see the entire discussion, they can.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, whether how it's viewable or soundbite wise. I just hope that it's out there for people to have
Yeah,
and have the
absolutely.
whole story.
100%.
And more importantly, I hope, with any other information you get in there that kind of helps piece it together too, because I'd like to see, we've seen a lot. Obviously, people are quick to share their opinion or here's a screenshot, but in context, and if there's anybody who hasn't chimed in or added to the story,
Exactly. It
yeah,
goes by
it
so
would be
fast on
good.
Discord.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, it goes by so close on Discord, and then at the same time, there's like, you don't want to get involved in that stuff. Like
yeah.
I don't have time. When I was on the weekend, it's like, okay, I'm going to bed and all this stuff goes. I'm like, I'm going to bed. I'm too tired to even get into it.
Yeah.
And I don't even. And then you wake up and there's, okay, what am I catching up on? Oh, oh boy.
Look at
All
this
right. Well, I'm just
explosion.
gonna. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go eat. Jesus.
Yeah.
So.
Alrighty then. Well, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. It's definitely shown me. It's confirmed what I thought it was going to be from your side. So that's really good.
Well, good to hear that. I mean, like I said, and you know, on that end too, you know, I appreciate you reaching out. I have not, like I said, I haven't had the time. I'm hoping to get a couple videos this week. Maybe I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Mm.
But this isn't something I normally would have done a video on in general. But it's something I think that does need to have a video for sure and talk about and get that discussion out there, not just for this moment in time, but
Yeah,
for, you know,
something more
just the
permanent.
absolutely sportsmanship and like this is important stuff. So
Yeah, absolutely. All
all
right,
right,
well,
dude. Well, have a good lunch.
yep, and I'll see you on the Discord then.
Yep, for sure. Talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Bye.